presented. It was group
Over there.
them, and I thought that they had, I liked their material. They did pretty well. They presented the first few parts pretty well. The sports segment was really bad, in my opinion. Like it was not even the way it was presented. It was just like the content wasn't really there. It was just like a bunch of stats, and that's incredibly boring. And like honestly, like reading scores isn't something you should probably do. Like it's something you put up, and it's like, oh, read what you want, because not everyone cares about every score. So what he could have done, in my opinion, was just put up the scores, say, all right, read what you want. If something's like an outlier, like something's really out of place, then point that out, and then move on. You don't go one by one and read all the scores, because quite frankly, no one cares.
Alright, so I'm going to be the nice judge in this case. So I think all the groups did well, but there are some things that could have been better. In Group 1, it definitely was in sports. I felt like for example, when there was all the presentation was laid out, and she said, well, here's the information for this week, and then give us a second to look at it. Having running down all the information was just a bit much, and yeah, that was pretty much it. Everything else in that group was all right.
I'm the mean judge. So, for the main story, it was pretty good. I think that it could have been better. It would have flown better, because it was the first presentation, so it was a little bit like rocky in the beginning. But the second main story was great, I thought. The sports, I hate sports. And I know nothing about sports, but after that segment, I got confused. I actually knew less about sports after that segment. I think that it was really good that he brought up fantasy, but at the same time, he should have transitioned better. And if he did that, then I think it would have been a much better section. The tech, I enjoyed they put the tech news at the end, but it was a bit rushed. And I think if they explained it more at the end, it would have been better. And overall, I think for the main stories, there was pretty good eye contact, but as the stories continued, they lost eye contact through it.
Okay, good.
So second group, the second group that presented were the zombie outbreak group, which was you guys in the back and whoever else, I don't remember. I thought at first that they started off really well, and I liked what they were doing, but like as the presentation progressed, like they used a lot of video and didn't really talk as much. And after all, like there are a few things you can nitpick about like accuracy, but it was just a fun presentation, so I'm not going to go into that. But I didn't like how much media they used and how little explanation they gave. Like it was kind of just like, oh, here's a video. All right, that was a video, this is what happened in the video. Now here's another video. And I was just like, that's fun for the first 3-4 minutes, but for a 10-minute presentation, I think it was a little too much.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot. I thought the zombie thing was all cool and how they just brought in the videos and stuff. But they were missing a little, just speaking a little bit more. And also, like, if there was a zombie apocalypse going on, I just felt like they should have been like, oh my God, what's going on? But at one point it was like, yeah, this guy's about to get eaten by a zombie. Yeah, you can see that right there.
I hope he's okay.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing that I saw was a little weird there.
Yeah. A+ for the story, very interesting. I like it how they went non-traditional route. The opening, very clear, captures attention, very it was loud, it was very interesting. It was actually how you would have, presented an outbreak story. As they progressed, way too many videos. I was like, if I wanted to watch this, I would have YouTubed this. I wouldn't have watched the news. Then also, when they were presenting or speaking about the president, it was really unprofessional because they just kept saying Obama. And it's like, you should have said President Obama. And I was just like, that's not actually how the news would have handled. And I know it's not traditional, but that's something that I thought was a little too much. And then there was not enough eye contact when you guys were presenting videos. And that was it. But once again, I think it was the best opening out of all the groups, for my personal opinion.
All right, so the next group, which was the Mercedes people, forgot who presented that. Either
They're
way,
all gone.
they all left. Wow, okay. Well,
They're
now,
definitely not winning now.
taking off some points for that. Anyway, So, in terms of like the content they provided, you can tell that they knew what they were talking about. They did good research, which I really liked. They, they presented it well. I thought they didn't stare at a piece of paper like some people did the whole time, and I didn't like. And I was a fan of that. They actually knew what they were talking about. And in terms of content, I feel they were the best group. But well, they're gone, so they're not the best group anymore.
Dun dun.
Well, yeah, I feel like that presentation was my personal favorite. It was, like you said, it was really awesome how they could just speak, off the top of their heads and just know what they're talking about. And yeah, I thought that one was great. But they left, so now they can't even hear me say that, so what's the point?
So they're not winners anymore.
For the news, I definitely think that they presented one story really, really well. And I enjoyed that they also tried to communicate with their audience. That's actually how the news works. They're serious, they present it, they say all the technical things, but afterwards they also make a laugh and joke around with the audience so the audience feels like they're interacting with them. So I really enjoyed that. But they're not winning. I already stated that.
All right, well, the next group was the group Apple TV, group 4, I think it was, anyway. First thing right off the bat that I couldn't stand was how loud that damn intro was, because holy shit, that was deafening. Right off the bat I was like, I'm going to hate this, guaranteed. And, you guys presented pretty well. It wasn't you guys didn't pick the most interesting topics, no offense, but it wasn't poorly presented. The one, I don't remember what the second topic was, but I believe it was you kind of just read it off the paper, which it was a lot of reading. I'll give you that, but I kind of didn't like how you were just staring at the paper the entire time. You should have tried to make more eye contact. Yeah, and the only thing I didn't like about your presentation is that there was nothing that grabbed my attention. To be honest, I kind of just wanted to whip out my phone and just text the entire time, which is not good. I don't know. Aside from the extremely loud intro, everything else is just kind of bland.
Pretty much, I thought it was a good presentation. There was, the only thing that I didn't really enjoy about it was how loud the intro was. The intro was loud, but it did grab my attention in a way, though. I don't know if it grabbed it in a positive way or in a negative, but, overall, it wasn't a bad presentation. Just as long as, they focus on looking at the camera, I think it would have been a little better, but, that's about it.
It was the most business-oriented presentation, I would say. It's actually, when you watch the news, that's actually, a lot of conversation and a lot of presentation would have been like that. So I thought which segment of the news you took was pretty good, you covered it pretty well. Same thing, oh my god, the intro, way too loud, but it's okay. It brought my attention, maybe not in the best way, but it did. You did what you had to do. Nothing bad, nothing, it was okay. Okay, are you ready, V6?
Always.
Well, before we kick off this presentation, I would just like to show you guys the notes that I wrote down.
Oh no.
Yeah, that's all I've got out of that.
It's a good sign, right?
Well, that's great. So, I'm gonna be straight up. That was probably the best presentation, not even because the content was abysmal. It's probably the worst thing I've ever heard in my life. But they presented it the best by far. Not even close. They actually went the extra mile and acted like they gave a shit about what they were talking about, which is phenomenal. This is an oral presentation class, and they presented it orally the best. So they're the best group.
Like you said, I had no idea what they were talking about, but they were comfortable up here, and I gotta give it to them. So yeah.
They did something that what every presenter should be able to do. Even if it's not a topic that you care about, they were able to grab their audience and hold on to them. So in my personal opinion, they did the best. I just thought it was hilarious. I think that group 2 tried to do the same thing, except in their own different way. But they went on the non-traditional route, which is very interesting. And you could see how different ways you could execute the news in non-traditional ways. So I think that traditional media is very boring, it's very bland, especially for our generation that likes information very instant. So to pick up on things to captivate your audience is very important, and they knew how to play on their audience, and they executed perfectly. So even though this is mostly a guy's classroom, they still were able to keep that attention. So they did something correctly, and that's why I personally think is the best group.
It's probably that picture of that lady in the
Yeah,
So who is this group is the winner then?
the basics.
Group number
Yes, bitches!
What should we show the camera whatever you wrote down?
Oh, I don't think we should. It's not exactly PG.
Show it.
Okay.
Show
No, you should
it.
show the camera.
Show it.
Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed us as your judges.
Yes.